Welcome everybody to the Manchester is Blue show. I hope we're all having a wonderful evening on a Thursday. Is everyone well?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Good stuff. We got Chris, Dan, Walter, Dave, myself. So we've got a bumper lineup tonight, lads. We've got a five-a-side team.
I'll go and goal.
Hey,
I'll definitely be left back.
You beat me to it there. If does that make me the midfield dynamo? I don't think that's going to work very well. I think Stock Power League's going to eat us alive if that's the case. So never mind. Everyone needs to be last place at some point in their lives. Right, let's crack on. So, busy one to talk about today. First and foremost, talk about our quiz on Saturday. We're starting at 8:15 at night. It's just for fun. However, we have got some prizes which has been very kindly donated. So, some point during the quiz, what we're going to do is we're going to ask key questions, and when people get the correct answer, you go into a draw, and the prizes will be, we've got some mugs, we've got some city prints, which are really nice things, which I've got one on the wall here, but I won't show it because I have to move the camera, and we've got a retro shirt to give away as well. And what we're doing, we're advertising for these companies on our pages so you can see what kind of work they're doing, which is fantastic. Daniel's going to be doing a Who Am I? Ex-City player, so that's always a tasty one. Then we're going to go rewind to the fantastic United 1, City 6 in 2011. So we'll have a bit of a chat about that. Listen, what City fan doesn't like discussing that? I could talk. We could just do one pod on that, to be fair, couldn't we? Then we're going to talk about the remaining series of midfielders we've got. We did 4 last week. We've got 5 to finish off with this week. Bernardo, Magical David, will we see him again? Fernandinho, Mahrez, and Foden. A little bit about news and gossip. Obviously, it's really busy at the moment on the news and gossip front. Have you seen all the journalists begging for us to buy newspapers? We knew what you did to Raheem, you dirty bastards. Not a chance. And then we'll finish off with the answer for the Who Am I, and we'll move on. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Come on then, Daniel. Lead the way, my friend.
Right then, boys. This player started his career off, his professional career at Chicago Fire.
I'm making notes.
Went on to play for PSV.
Can we say we know?
No, it's at the end.
No. Dave's already done that once. So Chicago Fire, PSV, then City, then went to Rangers.
I know it. Go on.
Then Hanover 96. Puebla, however you pronounce that, Puebla, or something like that. And then Houston Dynamo. Should be a nice, easy one for you. Most Tom's already got it.
You know when you're only confident you know it is, but then you think to yourself, actually, I don't remember playing for them.
This one's easy if you don't get it.
Easy.
Yeah.
He was actually better than I thought he was going to be, this player.
Might as well give it away now.
That's not a clue. I just was surprised that he was technically better than I thought he was going to be.
We'll talk about him at the end. I think I know who it is. That's always a good sign. I like that. Yeah. Right, okay, let's move on quickly. Good one, that, Daniel. I like that, pal. Get on ready for the quiz on Saturday as well. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get on ready.
Ready for you.
Fantastic. So, listen, lads, where do we start with this? This is every United game up to this point, and for a few years later, kept getting billed as the biggest derby ever. And then there was another biggest derby ever. And then there was an even bigger derby ever. And then Balotelli with his T-shirt, why always me? Mancini laughing at the end. Oh, what a fantastic day. Can you guys remember where you were there at the 6-1 game? Where were you?
In a studio in London.
Yeah.
Walter,
Sat at home.
tell us about your experience, pal.
It was just great. You know, it was one of these where you sort of... I remember a lot about this game because I've watched it a few times, obviously. And I got the call, do you fancy doing it? And I was like... So I got flown down to London. And it's supposed to be on the plane with the United fan who didn't turn up. And so they had this other United fan in there who I've never seen. I've only ever spent 90 minutes of my life with him. But
are you trying to tell me about the United fan in London?
Well, he was. No. He was the The United fan from Manchester missed his plane or something. I don't know what the script was with him. But then, so they had this other United fan there who says, yeah, I'll do that. Because you're going into a booth and you really don't know. You could be, fantastic and everybody loves you. Or you could be awful. And it's nothing to do with you. It's how the team performs. Do you know, if we'd have got hammered 6-1, I'd have always been that knob who was sat there in a booth crying,
Yeah.
And I'd have been up for ridicule by all these United fans, which is absolutely fine. So you're taking that kind of gamble. And I remember doing it. I remember coming out of the booth and I got in the taxi and I'm like going to the guy, just absolutely bouncing off the walls. Mate, we've just beat United 6-1 at Old Trafford. And, the taxi man's there going, all right. And then I get it through into security like that. So I got my city top on. I must be, grinning like a Cheshire cat. And the guy's there saying, I'm saying to him, through security, just beat United 6-1. He goes, all right, mate, sir. Could you remove your belt, please? And your shoes. I just wanted to talk to anybody about this game. And no one gave a toss. So it was a really interesting experience. And I didn't know if anybody... Because you're in the booth for 90 plus minutes and you're at the mercy of the editors in many ways because he could make you look like a right numpty or he could make you look good.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know. And I remember I got home and I logged on to Blue Moon Rising and people going, this was well good. It was funny. Yeah. And I was thinking, brilliant. I was just happy. And then I watched it and I thought, and it's surreal. If I watch it, it's like watching somebody else almost. It was just a great day. Well, great day for me personally. And it was a great day for Manchester City fans all over the world, after hammering United 6-1. But it wasn't even the biggest derby that year. The important one, and I used to love asking United fans this question, which one hurt most? Losing 6-1 at Old Trafford or right at the end losing 1-0 and not having a shot on target? And you could see them thinking, you bastard. I'm like... So... Yeah, I know we're going to go on to discuss the game. I'll tell you one little tip that I always got, because I got a video with all the sound removed and you could hear the players talking. And Joe Hart was getting death threats all throughout the second half from the Stretford end. They were shouting and down at him. So he kept his nerve well. He laughed about it. He was telling Michael Richards as he was walking off the pitch. But that's one thing that most people don't know, I suppose.
Didn't know that. Have you got that? Have you got that? That'd be nice to listen to at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've got a copy because whenever you did the fan zones, they always give you a DVD. I don't know. I think because some people must have insisted on it. I mean, I'm like, all right, mate. I'm thinking, and then, I suppose somebody came round and went, "Oh, that was really good." It's a shame you haven't got the full game. And I was like, "Oh no, I've got the full game." So I have watched it a couple of times, and then I put a post out not long afterwards. Look, if somebody wants a copy, and I ended up mailing a disc. I copied the disc. No, I didn't, Sky. And I was just mailing it out. I just mailed it out to a few people so they could have a watch of the commentary alternatively from what you're used to seeing on Sky.
That's amazing.
It was buzzing.
So the first goal. The key thing I forgot about this game was how influential Milner was for City. And obviously set up Balotelli for the first goal, and lo and behold, Balotelli goes down in football history for why always me. That first goal was key on it, but that was amazing. The
best description I've ever heard of that goal is he snookered it into the corner.
Nice.
Yeah. I thought that's just sums that goal up perfectly. Snookered it.
Yeah.
But again, it was the why always me, and we tend to forget. I mean, if you look at the United then, they hadn't been beaten at home for 18 months. They were a formidable team. Both teams hadn't been beaten that season. So both teams felt quite confident going into that game. And especially at Old Trafford. If you remember, our record at Old Trafford was awful. Absolutely awful for the best part of 30 years. And to rock up against that United team, against, Ferguson and... if you looked down the list of players that they had, and we like to mock them and stuff, but they were a good team. And what we achieved that day that's when the power shift sort of came within Manchester. I believe anyway.
No, it definitely was. Dan, Chris, how much do you think the Jonny Evans red card after the break made a difference? Because I always got the feeling we could go on and win it with or without them losing a player. But do you think it made much of a difference?
A big difference. I honestly think it made a big difference. I watched the highlights of the game earlier. From the first goal, you could see it was precise passing. It was patient. When the goal went in, there was 6 red shirts in the box to just 3 City players. For the second goal, there was 4 blue shirts and 5 red shirts, and you could see the shift in the second half. The second goal that we scored, it was
Balotelli
much more free flowing. Yeah, it was Balotelli at the back post, but the passing itself. I mean, when Silva passed it to Milner, it was like a cheeky little jink, and they were all going in different directions. And Balotelli himself at the back, he dropped off his man. He was going one way, and then he was running the opposite direction to the goal, making the. It was more. It was much more expressive and much more. You could see the confidence in the players.
Yeah,
and I think it made a massive difference. It's like, look, they've lost one at the back. Let's go for it, and they did. I mean, even Silva got a goal later on in the game with Kolarov unmarked in the middle. We know he wasn't famous for taking a shot on, but it got to the point he was like, no, I can do this, and it did show. I mean, the other good thing about the red card, it was a clear red.
It was absolute cast out.
No arguing.
No away from that. The thing for me as well is during this game, and people don't remember this, and I'd forgotten about this to an extent, is the Richards foul. That seemed penalty.
That should have been a penalty. Clear penalty.
I still to this day I'm rewatching.
Do you remember Clattenburg doing this?
Yeah,
and everyone's thinking,
yeah.
Mate, what are you doing? Like,
He's rubbing his hands together. He's not washing his hands. He's got the virus before us.
Well, all the everyone's looking at it going, I have no idea what you're on about, mate. But you're not giving it, are you?
I mean, it was 2 fouls. There's one on the edge, and then there was who's the guy?
Anderson.
It was Anderson.
That's the one guy. Yeah. Clumsy tackle, which should have had a penalty. Could have been 7, lads.
Should have been 10.
Yeah, should have been 10. Yeah, should have scored as well. The one where he took it through, and you know what? Yaya for me was the greatest midfielder in the Premier League for years, and he just takes it through and he tries to bend it, and he just doesn't quite get the bend on it. But it's 6 was good enough.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Absolutely love that. And again, I mentioned Milner before, but yeah, we had that Milner David Silva link up again for Balotelli's second goal. That little cutback by Silva for Milner to cross in was brilliant, wasn't it? So good to watch. You had to claw me off the ceiling when that second goal went in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, it kind of gives you that breathing space, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think as a manager, when I saw Mancini, how hard he was working to bring this team together, and I think for any manager, when you see your team perform like that, no one had a bad game. Everyone was a 8 or 9 or a 10 out of 10 that game. I said a couple of weeks ago, I think Balotelli was our man of the match. I think it was best game in a blue shirt, but everyone played well, and I think Mancini just got to have been purring when he saw how well we played that. Look, everything connected, everything came together, and everything worked for us. And you rarely see that in a game of football.
You're right.
I think you're being generous, and I'll tell you why. We scored the first goal against a run of play. I've seen us play better at Old Trafford than what we played better this year in the League Cup at Old Trafford, I think.
Yeah.
Because, if you look at it, half time it was 1-0, and it was a tight game. We'd scored a goal against the run of play. It was, as you were saying before, it was the Jonny Evans red card that just absolutely threw them, and the scoring of the second goal. I'm not saying we didn't play well, because obviously we did, but I think I've seen us play better at Old Trafford. I think you've been slightly generous. Well, I might be wrong though.
I think to that point, that's what I'm saying is that's the best we played under Mancini at that point, that everything seemed to come together. I think our best performance at Old Trafford was when David Moyes was manager, and I think we beat them 3-0. I mean, we absolutely, that game played my park. I mean, that was really that old cliche of men against boys. That game, that 3-0, it really was men against boys. Like, we already knew that we were going to beat them before a ball had been kicked.
Oh, I remember I went to that game and I got in about 5 minutes late and was watching the game, and all the City fans were extra boisterous. And it got to about 40 minutes in the game, and I looked up. I thought, we're winning 1-0. So I start celebrating and grabbing the guy next to me who's looking at me as if I'm some kind of real special kid because it takes me 40 minutes to realise we scored a goal. But, you know, I didn't know we'd scored because we scored that early, and I'm just sort of watching the game. And it's an away game, and it was on my own, so he didn't know who was around. I say it was on my own. My mate who's a United fan gave me a lift, and fair play to him, he gave me a lift home as well.
Oh, bless him. That's going to be a long walk for you. We'll move on to Sergio's goal. And Dave, to pick up your point there, everyone sort of had a 9 or 10 out of the game. That goal was sublime. It was just pinpoint first touch passing. All started off by Yaya Toure on the centre circle.
Yeah.
Point. Richards, Sergio doing what Sergio does in the 69th minute. And it was at that point where you know what, City being 3-0 against anybody in the world, I'd still think we need another. Bloody hell, we need another. We can't lose this now, because obviously I remember I went to the game where we were 2-0 up and we lost 3-2 on more than one occasion. Not the last time, the one before that as well, which was absolutely painful for going into school the next day. So at 3-0, I'm thinking, right, come on. Let's get another, please. Let's get another. This is fantastic. It's funny because my mind goes into complete negative overdrive, thinking, imagine losing this now. Imagine drawing 3-0 after being 3-0 up. I stopped enjoying games at that point. It's weird, isn't it? Maybe that's just me.
We're back in it.
We're back in it. Have we got to 40 points yet? Are we safe? Right. Okay. Let's crack on. And then. What happens with me being so nervous? Darren Fletcher, 81st minute, and I'm thinking, oh my god, they've got 10 minutes. They're going to do it. They're going to peg it back. They're going to peg it back. And it was literally, I was kicking every defensive ball. I was heading every header away. It felt horrible. What did you get? That was it, like 7, 8, 9, 10 minute spell between Dzeko scoring. How did you feel during that? Were you the same as me, thinking they could come back, they get another one, they're back in this?
Not a chance.
Oh,
they were dead and buried. I mean, let's just take a moment to appreciate. It was a beautiful finish. I mean, I can say it's a beautiful finish because we obviously hammered them, but he just there was no pace on it. It's all done. It was like a slow motion kick.
Yeah, it was just a motion between the two players as well, and just that one touch, one to the other and straight back, just perfect layoff as well. It was a perfect goal by any team, but sod it, there's still 1-6-1, so fuck him.
I think his celebration said it all though as well, because for such a really good goal, he literally just turned around, head down, and jogged back to the centre spot. He didn't, let's go get the ball and see if we can get another and do something. He's like, yeah, that's a goal of the a goal of the month contender, but who cares? We're getting battered.
To be fair,
he has no passion to be there.
He was Scottish though, wasn't he? Half-assed jobs half the time, wasn't it?
Well, I was listening to the commentary before, and I had to rewind it numerous times because I swear I thought he said it was a good finish from the scum, and I was listening to it over and over and over again, and it's only after the 5th time you realise he says Scott, but it really does sound like scum.
There's a moment during the game where, is it De Gea in net for United? It is. He passes to Ferdinand, and Ferdinand passes it back to him straight out of play. And it was at that point, like, that's it. They're rattled. They're absolutely rattled. This is brilliant. And then I start enjoying it.
We scored from that corner.
Was that second corner, was it?
Yeah. We scored from that corner. That's what was brilliant about it. And then De Gea was saying like he's offside. And I was thinking at the time, is he offside, is it?
Yes.
And then I realised he'd played the ball back. So it was just one of them where it was even... Well, De Gea, I love the fact that he got megged twice in that game. That always is a nice little cherry on top.
True.
It's always good when you see Vincent Kompany running up to the corner flag like this, and then Dzeko's like this. That's brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Always a good experience, and that's it then for me. 90 minutes, I can enjoy this 4-1, brilliant. And then, the world goes absolutely crazy, doesn't it? In my mind, we go on again, and is it Dzeko again? Silva
Meg's in the keeper.
Yeah.
I thought the best thing about that goal, though, is it was the players were rushing forward. Kolarov had made it up from left back, and again he'd made himself into space. He was hanging around the penalty spot unmarked. And when you've got David Silva on the ball, like I said earlier, he's not known for shooting, especially one-on-one. He'll always look for an option to pass, but he just looks up at David and just says, I'm having it, and he put it straight through his legs.
Oh yeah,
he was celebrating before it crossed the line. He was so confident, and that's something we haven't seen too much from him in front of goal. That's his only one weakness really throughout his career.
He's playing for Spain.
Yeah.
Unless he's playing for Spain, and then blooming heck, he can finish. Just wears different boots, I think.
Yeah.
I think he looked up, he saw Kolarov and thought, I may as well have a go myself.
Yeah, if it's not 40 yards, Kolarov isn't interested.
Yeah.
Don't care less, does he? And then it comes to a point of where we see what I think is the best assist I've ever seen.
It was amazing.
I'm still thinking he's going to run to the corner flag. He's not running to the corner flag. He's in here. He's in. Oh, then it was absolute pandemonium. Brilliant. That sixth goal was absolutely this world.
Best thing, and it's not on YouTube anymore. There used to be like a 3-4 minute little snippet of Walter with the United fan from Fan Zone, and if you remember, Walter, when Silva passes that ball, you're going, please, and I was doing exactly the same thing. So it was so funny to see a City fan doing exactly the same, and I think every City fan around the world who was watching it live was doing the same thing. That when he did that pass, oh God, please make it 6. please make it 6.
Well, the thing is, it's it wasn't just about beating them then. It was about absolutely humiliating them. You were going to walk into work, just like Jonny. Nothing. I tell you what was nice. I remember because I'm a teacher, and I remember going in. We had a week's holiday after that, but I went in. I went to get me dinner, and the whole queue of them lads, they all turned around and started doing the Poznan, shouting, take it, and I'm like, absolute highlight of my teaching career, I think. I was just thinking, all the other teachers are looking like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and I'm like, it was... do
you know what, Walt? The best thing about that moment is you, for whatever you do for the rest of your career, you will always be one of the best Twitter memes.
Yeah,
going, and I forget how many times I've used that. So it's like honestly, the passion on your face, you just emulate every City fan, and I absolutely love it. I think it's brilliant.
I always remember being outside a toilet in Orlando, Disneyland, and I had a City top on, and this guy comes over and he was like looking at me in a thick American accent. He just went, man, he goes, are you to take it, man? And
no!
I'm thinking, where are we going with this, pal?
It's not that kind of toilet.
So I was like, and then I says, yeah, and he was like, honestly, I'm not. No, he was from Manchester, and I'll tell you why, because I got his family came over, he got the picture, and his son years later tweeted me going, oh, this is me and you, like out in Orlando. I don't think he mentioned the toilet. And you were really nice that day. And I was thinking, it's kind of cool, to get recognised on the other side of the planet.
It's one of those things. It's one of those things that is just brilliant to see. I need to ask you, after that game, what was the United fan like?
He couldn't get out of there quick enough, I don't think. You don't want to sit around talking football after that. You know, with some of them, out of the fan zones, I got on really well with a Tottenham fan. He was funny. And I got on really, really well with the Geordie. He was brilliant. We went for a breakfast before, and we're in Tesco's. And he just looked at it. I can't do a Geordie accent. He just looked and he said, "There's dresses over there going cheap. Should we just buy them? And if one of us scores, we whip off our top and we start dancing around in a dress." So this was right at the end of the season, and there is a YouTube clip of us dancing together in our 2 dresses at the end.
Oh, bless you! That's a good sport. That is. I love that.
No. The Geordie was absolutely fantastic. You know, it's you like to get into a booth, and you like to have a laugh at a person, not to be you don't want a schneid bastard in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone who's gonna.
Yeah.
Well, no. The one bit I do regret was because he was a Cockney, and I do regret that it didn't go on to YouTube. I got him to I said, "Go on, just do your best Manchester accent," and he said a couple of things in a Manchester accent, and I thought the editor missed the trick there because he could. Well, you know what I mean? They can't pull it off.
Oh, that's fantastic. So when you say a booth, is it literally a booth? Because I just think it's like, remember Philip Schofield in The Broom Cousin, and he used to have and there's a massive camera crew behind it. Was it literally a cupboard?
It's a cupboard. You've got the game in front of you. You've got the old-fashioned microphone. You've got a camera there. Honestly, it was like where Harry Potter used to live. You are just crunched up in there. I remember being with a Tottenham fan, bless him, and he was a big lad. And I'm like this in the corner. And then they scored. I thought, oh, my God. But,
I hope you all deodorant. Bloody hell.
Oh, no. He was, he was absolutely lovely. Richard Cracknell, I think he was called. He was just a really genuine... People who love the team, and they were there to have a laugh. We got told off because I was trying to tell him about this idea of you can get kebabs in naan bread. And he stopped commentating for about 5 minutes going, "Tell me more." Kebab in a naan bread. And we got told off at our time. He goes, "Look, lads, try and stick to the football because..."
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, right. We need to move on. I could talk about...
Right, sorry.
We could generally talk about this all afternoon. We need to move on. That's brilliant. Honestly, I love doing these every week, but you've just raised it up a bar for me laughing. That's hilarious. Right, let's try and do something serious now, lads. Let's talk about our midfielders this season, shall we?
Right.
What we'll do is we'll try and keep this as short as sweet as possible. So basically, we're marking the players out of 10, and don't waffle too much. I think is order of the day. I'm looking at you, Chris, Dave. I know you two will chat about a player. So we'll move on. So Daniel, we'll start with you first. Man love child, Bernardo Silva, who definitely doesn't get as much recognition as what he should. What's about him up to now this season?
Well, you started off with the wrong person, aren't you? Remember when we did a little talk about him beforehand?
Yeah, this is on purpose with you first, mate.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I would happily pay for that man to do anything he wants, even though he earns as much money in a week as I will for the rest of my life. This season, he's under par for me. Way, way, way under par for me, personally. Still a fantastic player. He's not bringing it to games as he has done like last year. Last year, you could walk into any team and run that attack midfield, whatever. And this season, he does it on snippets. Most of the games, he's just quiet. I think the United game, that was the game where he started stepping up the last bit of the season that's been played so far. But first half of the season, I love the bloke, but he could do so much better for me. So I'm going to kick him off with 7.
How do you think that race thing with Mendy has affected him?
That was the prime factor, yeah. I think he's the type of lad that I think everybody, not even just City fans, every football fan knew there was no malice in what he did at all. Not a single bit. But obviously, we've seen it with Raz, what can happen with the media. The media turns it out of place. Bernardo, he looks like a quiet, shy, gets on his own lad type, really, really. And I think that knocked him for 6. And again, you can't really blame him for that. But at the same time, we're judging him on performances rather than outside.
You can blame him for that. It was a stupid move. I'm always a bit uncomfortable. 5 white lads sat down talking about racism, but I think he obviously does his own Twitter account, and it was who's the Atletico Madrid forward, the French lad,
Griezmann.
No. He did.
Yeah.
He did another similar one. You know, with the blackface and he went as a Harlem Globetrotter basically too. I think, knowing that you're going to be scrutinised so much, I think it was his fault, and I think he was stupid to do it. I don't think it was any intention of malice. I'd like to think there wasn't, obviously, and I think he was very badly advised, and he was silly because he started arguing back then, saying, "I don't understand. I don't understand. It's not racist." But a joke between him and Mendy is fine because they know each other. When you put it into social media, it is his fault. Yeah,
when you keep it between friends on WhatsApp, between you and them, and then the difference between you and a couple of million people, that's when you try to trigger it yourself. I'm expecting to see great things from Silva next year. So what we'll do is we'll whip through all of you now. Dan, we'll start with you. What's your score out of 10 for this season?
7.
7s. Chris, what are you thinking?
I was thinking the same, basically exactly what Dan said. So on that basis, it's a bit 7.
Fantastic. Walter, what are you thinking out of 10?
For Bernardo?
Yeah.
6.
Yeah. Dan? Dave, sorry?
6.5.
Right, fair to middle.
There you go.
Very diplomatic. Yeah, we'll say that's 7 for the sake of argument. Right, lads, we're going to talk about a player now who has been one of my favourite players since Kinkadze, and I still have a very hard argument to argue which was the better one. David Silva. If this virus is the end of his City career, we're not going to see him in a blue shirt again. So, how would you rate him this season as a player? And I also want to get your thoughts on how he's been as a captain as well.
I think personally that they're interlinked. I think his performances have declined this season because of the responsibility of the captaincy. And in hindsight, I kind of wish with a player like that sometimes they don't need that captaincy. Just let them get on with being that creative force that can be. I think it's obviously too much of him, particularly with what happened with his son and all that kind of stuff as well, and coming back from that. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. I wouldn't have given him the captaincy because I think his performances have suffered because of that. Still a wonderful player, but he's not the player of 2-3 years ago. That's for sure. Now, for me, I'd give him probably 6 out of 10 for his performance, and captaining 5 out of 10.
See, I'm going to disagree with you again. I don't think his David Silva's performance has got one iota to do with his captaincy. The captain basically goes up and tosses a coin. That's it. You know, he's not there to be the Vincent Kompany, to call out and to yell to people, to inspire people. That's not really a football captain's job, not in 2020. Me personally, I think his form dropped this season for exactly the same reason as Zabletta's did. I think his legs have gone. I think we kept him a season too long.
What are you thinking out of 10, Walter?
5.
Okay. Chris?
5.
I've got to say at least a 6. I mean, his performances have declined. To some extent, I do think it's his age. I think his legs are going a bit. I don't think he's getting as many consistent games. You know, he's not getting the run of games like he used to, simply just because he can't keep up anymore. As a captain, I couldn't believe they gave him the captaincy. I don't think De Bruyne or Agüero, players like that, they should never be given the job. I think you do need someone in the team that is more aggressive and not the nice guy. I mean, if you look at United or Arsenal, they have like Vieira and Keane. It's players like that who are happy to have a go at players and have a go at the referee as well. You give them the armband because then at least they've got an excuse to speak to the referee. David Silva, he's too nice, and he is an icon. You don't need to give an icon a band around his arm to say, "Yeah, you're the important guy." So as a captain, I'd say a 2 or a 3.
Okay, Dan, finish us off.
I'll go 6, and I have to agree with Walter's statements about the captain. For me, captaincy in this era of football is overrated now. You look at a team of football players, you want team players, not an out-and-out one person leading a team. We had that in essence in Company. He was a leader, but the team he was playing with, they all played together. That's what you want, and that's a David Silva role. He's not somebody who's a voiceless player. He's not one to go out and say, look, you're playing shit, because you don't need that in a team. You want people to look at him like, I know I'm playing bad. Stick up for me, lads. I'll play a game. And that's all City really needed, a team player. But yeah, for a 6 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I think one thing we can all agree on, there's not many people clamouring for him to have a contract extension for next year. I think it's obvious he needs to leave. He needs to leave at the top. He needs to leave an absolute icon as well, which he will, which is an absolute understatement from my point of view. Dan, you can start us off on Fernandinho. What's your thoughts of Nando this season?
I'm going to push the boat out fully, and he's going to get a 10 for me, only based on the point that he has played pretty much all 99% of the games in a position that's not his position. And the fact that if we didn't have him in the team this season, we wouldn't be anywhere near even as far behind Liverpool as we are currently. Because you really see us being anywhere near Liverpool if we had Stones or Otamendi at centre-back. And he's going back to that same thing with the captaincy type thing. He's one of them Vincent Kompany styles where not a boisterous player as Kompany, but if he was in your back line, you've got someone you can depend on. And I think that's the only reason we played in as good as many games as we have done. So 9.5 out of 10.
Sounds good. Dave, what's your thoughts on Nando?
Yeah, echo everything Dan's just said, that to go into that position that is unfamiliar to him and still be playing very, very well for us. I'd give him a 9 out of 10, definitely.
Good man. Walter?
Yeah, I agree with that he's done. He's been given the short straw, hasn't he? I mean, I remember being at the game and I thought that's our season over. I was not far from the port when it was horrible. You heard this funny ping when it went. We've been that close, and and I thought that's his season over. Fernandinho is. Do you remember when we bought him and people were saying, almost laughing at us, saying you've spent 5 million or whatever on this player? I've never heard of him. And I'm thinking, well, that says more about your football judgment than it does about the head scouts at City. He's been the best player in that position, arguably, in the world. Not centre-half, but, the defensive midfielder. And the thing I like about Fernandinho is he's one of the only schneid players that we've got. One of them just... and he's not... But he doesn't hurt anyone. He just kind of just that schneid little flick of the ankle, to send the player down. Oh, I'm sorry, ref. And he plays football with a smile on his face. And to do what he's done and come into the position that he's come into, and if you look at our points total, it's not as good as the previous seasons, but I think the heads went a little bit just because Liverpool were so far ahead. If it was a close, I think we would have won. Would have continued winning the games. But yeah, the man's a legend. 9.5 out of 10.
Sounds good. And Chris finishes off.
I think a solid 10 for effort. I think it's kind of tainted him a little bit this season. I don't think just because Laporte was injured, it's not as if it was his injury that's put him at centre back. Guardiola never really replaced Kompany, and I think always intended to put him at centre back. And I think for the Premier League, he just hasn't got the pace. And to try and pick that up at his age, at this point in his career, I think it's cruel in a way, because he has been arguably the best defensive midfielder the Premier League has seen. That position is always going to be his, and I'll always remember him for that at City. But as a centre-back, I don't think he's done well. I don't think any of our centre-backs are leading centre-backs. They can't hold a line. Otamendi, Stones, Fernandinho, they can't take charge of that back line, and that's what we've missed this season. I think if it was have been Fernandinho and Kompany, I think he'd have been a lot better than he was. But I think based on his performances and to me, the defence works as a team. It's a unit. It's in its own right, and I think I'd have to give him a 7.
7?
Based on that.
No problem whatsoever. Right, we're moving on swiftly. Mahrez. Dave, you can lead the way with Mahrez. What's your thoughts on him this season?
Pleasantly surprised that we've talked on the podcast many times now about Guardiola bringing in players who pretty much need a season to bed in and understand what they've got to do to break into that first team. He obviously got frustrated last season being in and out of the team, but arguably been our best player this season, certainly from an attacking standpoint. Because Raz has blown hot and cold. I think Mahrez has probably been our most consistent attacking player. Solid, go 8.5 out of 10.
Sounds good to me. Walter, yeah. Mahrez, what's your thoughts?
He's a funny player, isn't he? He's not the same player that was at Leicester. I know that for sure. I think Sterling has set his bar so high that when he doesn't get there, people will criticise him. And I think Mahrez is there's not a great deal of difference this season, I think, between the two. I bet if you look at the stats, I'd say Sterling scored more goals. It depends what you mean when you're saying about one of our best attacking players. Because you look at De Bruyne and you look at even David Silva or Bernardo. Put it this way, if it was the European Cup final tomorrow, I'd rather Bernardo Silva started instead of Mahrez.
Based on this season, I would go the other way. I think Mahrez is. I think he's more. I think you can count on him more this season, as Dan was saying. Bernardo Silva's not had the greatest season, I don't think. Whereas Mahrez has. He's been a real star performer for us. And with Raz, yeah, he's probably scored more goals, but they seem to be right at the start of the season. That real good purple patch he had for 2 or 3 months, and he's kind of fallen off the boil. Whereas Mahrez seems to have just been consistently a 7 or 8 out of 10 all the way through, and got those crucial goals as well throughout. One of them, but if PSG want to pay 80 million for Mahrez, would I take it? Probably, because that's a 20 million profit.
No, I want to keep hold of everybody and anybody.
What's your score out of 10, Walter?
I've got 7.
Sounds good to me. Chris, what's your thoughts, my man?
I don't like admitting it, but it's got to be said, he has done a lot better this season than last year. I thought last year he was dreadful. I'm still not a fan of Mahrez. I think with the way that City play, I don't think he particularly suits us. I think he's too greedy and too, like I said, he cuts in from the right so much, but it's because he's getting on his left peg to have a shot. I don't think he's one that's looking to particularly bring in many other players in, and I don't think he delivers regularly enough. He plays consistently. He's getting in the right places, and again, compared to the likes of Raheem, who's been up and down, and Bernardo, he has had a level of consistency, but I think it's quite a mediocre in the middle sort of level. You've got Raheem who's going up and down. Mahrez, for me, I'd struggle to give him anything more than a 6.5.
Wow.
Crikey. Dan?
He's a bit of a bugger type player, really, isn't he? He's completely echo what Chris says regarding he's a much better player than what he was last year, but for me, he's still not consistent enough. He's had a couple of games this season where he's just been unplayable. He's ran that attack, but those games that he has done, majority of them have only been for half the game. He just drops off too much for me. If he was consistent throughout the 90 minutes, we would be talking about the best player in the attack. One of, should I say. And to go back to Dave's point, for me, I'd still have Bernardo ahead of Mahrez due to the fact that Bernardo, yes, he's had poor games this season. He's more of a consistent player than Mahrez. You know what you're getting with Mahrez, but not for the whole game. Bernardo, he'll give his effort for the full 90 minutes. It may not always come off. It may turn into a world-class game for him. You never know. But Mahrez for me, he's just still too switch and go. But I will give him a 7 because he has played some good games this season.
Okay, so just to give you an idea, we've got Bernardo with an average of 7 and Mahrez an average of 7.25, just to be precise. So, to you guys.
I'll give him a 6.5 then. Let's see. I've
got to say, for the right wing, I'd rather have put Gabriel Jesus over there rather than Bernardo or Mahrez.
I'd have him on left. I could talk for him a whole podcast, you know me.
We will talk about strikers next week, boys. We'll talk about strikers next week. Last, but definitely not least, and one we're going to be talking about for years to come, Foden. Walter, please lead the march for Boy Wonder.
It's a funny one. We've not seen a great deal of. We've seen snippets of Foden, but you've got to trust what's arguably the best managers of the last 20 years. You know, if he sees Foden as good enough and he's working with him close training every single day, I just put my trust in Pep for him. I don't think he's. It's a difficult one because we're not sending him out on loan, but we're hoping. Working with Pep, getting coached by Pep, working with these other individuals. You know, you often hear the term. So, for example, if you're training with Kevin De Bruyne each day and you can't learn something, you're an idiot. Does it benefit him not playing this football? The one thing I always think about Foden is we absolutely forget how young he is. Mm-hmm. You know, this guy was just doing his GCSEs when people were in the media were sort of tweeting that, you know, he should be starting for City. Well, hang on a minute, mate. What have you won? I'm going to leave my judgment to Pep and look at Pep's track record over the last few years. So Foden's time will come, I think, when Silva leaves. And if we're not going to see Silva again, then I think Foden's going to be given that berth, given that role to try and show us what he can do. You know, he's so young and we just need to give him that time to develop into it. There's not many players now in the Premier League who come through at 16, 17. The only other thought is, do City take the mick a little bit by not giving him any game time? Because, let's get it right, if Foden thought in a year's time he's going to be playing regular for City, or he could walk into another team now anywhere on the planet, because he's a City fan, he'd stay with us. Sancho was given the same sort of option. He got his cigar out and went, right, hi-oh, I'm off to Germany. But are we taking it for granted so much because he is a Blue? I hope not, but I trust Pep.
Fair enough. And out of 10?
See, I don't like this because the idea of trying to grade Foden's not played as well as the other players there, I don't think. And he's obviously not shown it in training week in, week out. And to give him a grade or give him a number based on that, I find a little bit almost cruel, because I would say maybe 5 out of 10. But I'm not disappointed in Foden because it's 5 out of 10 this season. It could be 8 out of 10. And then for the next 10 years, it could be 10 out of 10 each week. We can all see the flashes. And as a fan, you sat there watching him and you're going, that lad's brilliant. But he's not doing it consistently within games. He's not, fair play to him. He's not given a consistent run of games either. You know, he's in for 1 minute and then we don't see him for a couple of months. So it's very hard to judge and give him a number. If I was forced to, I would say 5 out of 10, but I'm not worried about that because I see the progression.
Yeah, this is one reason why I don't like doing out of 10s either, even though I asked the question, because each player's given their own instructions by Pep to play a certain way week in, week out, and I kind of think sometimes some players aren't played in their strongest positions or given instructions to be the best that they can be, and it's very hard to look at a team and a certain player so decisively to say you should be this, you should be that, because we don't know what's been said in the changing room to get them to be the way they are in that certain game.
Yeah,
like Ilkay. But yeah, we'll move on from your points, Walter. Point well taken. Dave, what's your thoughts on our Mr. Phil?
Yeah, I think I echo really what Walter's just said, that it's just in and out of the teams, and we've seen those flashes when he has played, with Community Shield at the start of the season, man of the match. I think he actually got the man of the match award as well, didn't he? I think. League Cup final, absolutely sensational as well. So we see these flashes, but then, sometimes in the Premier League, we won't see him for for 2 months or something. It's unbelievable. I fervently hope that he is going to get David Silva's spot next season. And we keep hearing these rumours that maybe Pep is going to bring in another David Silva-esque kind of player. I really hope that's just paper talk and we don't, that we've got to give Foden his week in, week out tryout at some point and see if he can do this 2 games a week on a Wednesday night and on a Saturday or a Sunday as well. Yeah. That's going to be the big test for him. I think he can. I think he's the most talented player we've had coming through City properly since, can I say, Sean Wright-Phillips? I'm going to say he's ours because he came from Forest and went in our academy. He's such an exciting player to watch and great balance and touch. He plays like a European. We've heard all these things all the time about he's like the Stockport Iniesta, and he kind of is because he's got that to his game. He's just technically incredible.
Are we moving away from rating Foden then? Is it a bit unfair?
Yeah, the games I've seen him, I'd be giving him a 8 or a 9. But to Walter's point, because we've only seen him in flashes,
I'll take that forward, Walter. Needless to say, we're going to see a lot more of him next season, hopefully.
God, I hope so.
Fingers crossed.
He's gone. He's gone if we're not. I think we need to face that for his own good. If he's not starting the first couple of games of next season, he needs to be asking serious questions.
Well, the goal is as well, and I mentioned this on the podcast a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Stones and stuff as well, that now that European Championships have been laid off for a year, we've got the Stones, we've got the Fodens now. Surely they're really going to put their head down and want to get in that squad next season because it's all open again. I don't think Walker will be getting in the squad for the Championships next year, but I think we've got some English lads there who hopefully are going to make that move and get in that squad next season, but they need a good season under the belt.
Yeah, you're right. Dan, Chris, have you got anything to add about Foden before we move on?
Bit overrated, isn't he?
Good night from Dan. Sorry, we lost you there, pal. Say that again.
I hope it's not hype because we have seen it in snippets of games. He can bring it. I'd be interested to know by the end of next season where Dan Halifax stands on him because he truly, honestly is starting to believe now that Foden is overrated now, isn't he? The past couple of times we talked about him, he's starting to sort of believe in himself that he's not this potential world-class player that he's been bigged up to be over the past 2 seasons.
I'll trust what Pep has to say on that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
We'll see what he thinks. We'll move on. Did anyone see pictures of the Etihad Stadium in the last couple of hours, last couple of days?
Yeah, so is that true?
So yeah, the pitch has been dug up, because apparently they're doing something to the drainage underneath the pitch. They're starting again with the drainage or something. I don't entirely know why. And it just so happened they were going to do it at the end of the season, but obviously as we're in this barren spell of football, they decided to get it done now. All the rumours were obviously, that's the season over then, something's been agreed. So the rumour mill went into absolute overdrive recently, but I think we both know it'll be back at some point, I'm sure. It can't take that long to add in a pitch, can it?
No, the season's done. It's absolutely done. I'm not even just 1% thinking that this season's going to start again, and rightly so.
Don't get me excited, Walter. Don't get me excited.
No. For me, it's done. It's gone. That's it. If you start getting mass crowds gathered together, or then you start to people say, "Oh, you can finish it behind doors." I'm not being funny. These players have been. So you look at the Premier League, and it's arguably the most multicultural league in the world. Are you telling me that these players are going to want to go and sit in some kind of tournament playing every 2 or 3 days? So, for example, Agüero, the first thing he's going to do, the lockdown's finished, everything's okay, he's off to see his son. Pep Guardiola is going to be there, you know, going to his mum's grave. You know, it's this idea that the league season's going to start again. For me, it's almost inhumane. It's quite interesting. I was talking to someone today, the lad I go to all the games with, and I said to him, I haven't missed. It was on the phone. We didn't meet. We're in total lockdown here, and I've not missed football at all, because your family comes first, and you, in many respects, I suppose, you realise what's important. And these footballers are going to be pretty much exactly the same. So to try and think about getting a season finished, it's just absolute mad talk. It's done. It's gone.
Yeah,
that's it. And if they try and force it through, they're just going to look like a shower of absolute bastards.
Yeah, if they force it through and then another player gets ill again, then whose fault's it going to be? There's going to be a lot of backlash, isn't there, if that happens?
And we speak about, so you get City playing, right? So we're doing this, City are playing, and we all seen what happened with Paris Saint-Germain. All the fans sort of congregated. People went round to each other's houses. There was a big screen, and they all went to watch it there. You know, the idea that Cheltenham took place was seen as just so backwards thinking. I mean, I think about this. We went to... how long ago does it feel? I was at the League Cup final, and I was looking around, and we all knew what was coming, and we all knew. And I looked, and I thought, there's 100,000 people here. I remember the lad behind me was saying he's just come back from China. And I'm thinking, this is... And I thought it was bonkers. The league is gone. There's more important things than football. And the only way I can ever see it getting completed, and it's not even a 1% chance, is if the Premier League clubs absolutely brick themselves about the contractual money that they're going to get from Sky. But even Sky's got to be thinking, hang on a minute, if we don't give them something, the league's going to fold. If there was no football, how many people would just leave Sky? So they've got to protect the long-term interests of football as well.
You're right, almost.
It's just almost like write it off, because their long-term interest. Sky was built on the back of football. The league's done. It's gone.
Go on, I love that viewpoint. Don't know where we go from there. Be interesting to see. I'll look at the line for months.
Yeah,
you can't play this season out now behind closed doors, because if you're going to do that, what's the point in football? The reason football is what it is because of the fans. Doesn't matter whether you're United, you're City, or whether you're Stockport County. If you've no fans, what is the point in playing football?
I can't remember the last time Sky ever gave a toss about fans, though, mate.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's the idea of, if they're going to play it behind closed door, you've got to have cooks in the kitchens for the players. You're going to have camera people there. You're going to have to. It's more than just 22 people with subs all sort of spread out. And then you're talking about players. It made me laugh. Klopp was having a go at fans who were trying to do. They had 3,000 Madrid fans over in Anfield. This is absolute backwards thing. No. The rest of Europe was just looking at us like, what the fuck are you doing? But just to go back, at the end of the game, they're all shaking hands and hugging and all the rest of it, because that's a human emotion of coming off a pitch. And if another player gets it, what are they going to do? Just like Pep, if a player's parent dies, they're interested in the families first and foremost, as we all are. Football is a fantastic, and for me, one of the best distractions from life. And you go in and you have these time with the mates. But let's go back to what's important, and it's people being safe and the relationships that you build. The thing I love about football is that relationships are built up with other fans mostly, and I go to pints before the games, and that's more important than the 22 players on the pitch. And the players that are on the pitch are also thinking the camaraderie that they've built up over the years with certain players. That's what they're into as well. So yeah, football's the best distraction in the world, maybe, but it is a distraction. We can't forget that.
Well said. And I think City have again today done something. City can just keep to be. What I love about City at the moment, yes, we're a machine that makes money. That's I think we all need to accept that as a business now. But we seem to be doing so many things. What I see is right off the pitch as well to help the community. 1,000 Easter eggs given to young carers and kids across Manchester today. 700 bottles of hand gel to families who need it in the local community. Little things like that. I love that. And at the moment, City are just standing above and beyond. I don't see many what other clubs are doing. I follow certain fans from other clubs on Twitter, etc., and I don't see many things from other clubs doing anything near as much as what City are doing.
Well, what I would like for people to realise is, after all this pandemic is over, right, honestly, Sports Direct might be cheaper. I ain't ever going to buy anything off them again. After what they've done, honestly, I'm just sat there making a list of companies I'm never going to deal with. I'm not going to step foot in a Wetherspoons again after the way he just treated everybody. Guys are billionaires. You're all laid off. Go and try and get a job in Tesco's. This just despicable, disgusting behaviour. And it's more important that's people's livelihoods. You know, you've got single moms there who are trying to raise a kid and they're in a flat and he's just tossed it all off. Sorry, I'm getting a bit on my high horse now.
Right. We said it
because I've been locked up for 3 weeks.
We said this is why a pod's a good thing from our perspective as well. It keeps us sane and something else to think about, particularly myself. And it's funny, isn't it? Because we talked last week, didn't we, about the cream rises to the top, and at the end of all this, when we're through all this, we'll really see the people that have stood up and tried to do something different for the country. And guys like Mr. What's his name? Is it Tim, Wetherspoon owner? And it's always fuckwit though, aren't it?
Tim Tosser.
Yeah, and it's just they're the types of companies you'd expect to piss off their own staff. You just expect it because they're just replaceable. They're sheep to them. They're just numbers. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. Listen, let's move on because we need to. So we're going to move on quickly and shortly. Last bit. No, don't you? Listen, mate, you're on here to talk, mate. Never worry about that. Last bit of news is another bit of rumour mill about Cancelo going to Barcelona and be done in a swap deal with Nelson Semedo. Are we happy with this, Daniel?
Yeah, let him go. What about
Semedo then? Do you know much about him? He's not a player on my radar.
I've seen him a couple of times, but not enough to sort of make a judgment. He looks like a brick shithouse. You know, he's very fast, I know that, but in terms of football, I honestly couldn't comment.
Let's move on quickly then. Last call of action. Mr. Dan, who am I? Give us the team name again and then we'll move on because I want to drink.
Right, we've got Chicago Fire, PSV, City, Rangers, Hanover, Puebla, whatever you want, Houston Dynamo.
Right.
Who am I?
Is he American?
He most certainly is.
Is he a left winger?
He played most of his trade on the left.
Come on, lad. Somebody else put me out of misery.
We all know who it is. He always played with a smile on his chops.
DeMarcus.
No, not him.
Gotta be.
No, it's not him.
It's gotta be
Rayner, isn't it? Claudio Rayner.
Gotta be DeMarcus Beasley.
No, it's me. Come on, I'm having a laugh.
Oh, yeah. Don't do that to me. When I saw the Rangers connection originally, I was like, oh, yeah, but he was at Sunderland Rayner first, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like that, Dan. Listen, mate, you are now officially in charge of Who Am I. Well done.
Got to start making him a bit harder, haven't I?
Well done, sir. You can. Your business cards are in the post.
Well done, Dave, as well, by the way.
Go on.
He didn't give it away before we finished the podcast.
There you go.
Right, lads, it's red wine o'clock. Walter, thanks so much for coming on. Hopefully you can make it again soon.
Yeah,
anytime.
Absolute pleasure talking to you, pal. Thank you very much, lads. Lovely to talk to you as always.
Keep safe, everybody.
Take care.
See you soon. Catch you later.
Best, boys.
See you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.